Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good morning, everyone. So today we shall be discussing another new topic, that is to say the ear sensitivity. The sensitivity that is found in ear, which is sensitive to the sounds. Previously we discussed about the eye sensitivity, its functions, and also some controversial points regarding how it is seen today and how contradicting with the tradition. So today it's also there's few more things, but all the others are similar to that of Sotappasāda. They have the very basic fundamentals, like both are produced by karma and both are sensitive to the relevant respective sense object, and the consciousness arises based on them, and they are all produced by the desire for the relevant consciousness to see, hear, and so forth. So therefore all the sensitivities will have a sort of a similar explanation. So today we'll be talking about the characteristics of Sota, and its origin, and how sound is heard. There are three opinions on this within Theravada teachings, which are each contradicting each other. We shall come to it at the end. So, Sotappasāda. Sensitivity, ear sensitivity. Sota means ear, Pasada means sensitivity. Actually, it's the shine, or it's the shining surface of the kalapas, which is sensitive to the sound. Then this is produced, for instance, as we said, it's a production of karma. Karma produces Sotappasāda. What sort of karma? A karma that is effected by desire to hear, which we call it savana karma. Savana karma, the desire to listen to subjects, listen to sounds. Actually, the karma not only produces Sotappasāda, it produces the entire kalapa. We call it Sota Dasaka kalapa. The material cluster containing Sotappasāda. According to commentaries, what it produces are the four great elements: Patavi, Apo, Tejo, and Vayu. These are the four elements that it produces. The karma produces these four elements, Kammaja Mahabhuta. When they are produced as a cluster, kalapa, the Sotappasāda also appears in them. Sotappasāda also appears in them. This is the sensitivity of the four great elements produced by the karma, affected by the desire to hear. Right? Sensitivity of the four great elements produced by the karma, affected by the desire to hear. Actually, it's not the sensitivity of the four great elements, sensitivity depending on the four great elements produced by the karma, affected by the desire to hear. So that's how we give a very exact, very precise definition about this sensitivity, Sotappasāda. It arises in a kalapa, which is called Sota Dasaka kalapa. Sota Dasaka kalapa contains 8-10 Rūpa: Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, then Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja, Jivitindriya, and Sotappasāda, SP. So, right, it arises in a Sota Dasa kalapa. So these kalapas, they arise and pass away their generation is called Sota Santati. Generation of Sota Dasaka Kalapa, Sota Santati. It appears in both the ears, but both of them, both the generations are produced by the same karma. Same karma. It can be a karma that gave the Patisandhi, or it can be some other karma, according to Theravada teaching. Some teachers are of the opinion that every Kammaja Rūpa in one's body is produced by the same Patisandhi karma. This idea is against the information found in the commentary of Kathavattu and the sub-commentaries. So that is something to be discussed later. I will be taking it as a separate lecture. Then we have another distinction between Pasada Sota. Pasada Sota means Sotappasāda. It's the same. It's just the words have been used up and down. Then we have Sasambhara Sota. Sasambhara Sota. Sasambhara Sota means the ear, the flesh ear that we possess. Flesh ear. Within the flesh ear, now for example, this is how normally the ear is drawn, right? So in the flesh ear, there is a area on the surface, at the bottom of the surface, which is of the shape of a ring. So if I zoom it, the ring, this within the, it's of bronze color. So this this area contains Pasada Rūpa, Sotappasādas. This area contains Sota Dasaka Kalapa. Right, Sota Dasaka Kalapa. So it is on the surface. Sometimes we may see that we have a sort of some organs inside the eardrum, right? But actually what the tradition is saying, something which is on the surface that becomes sensitive to the sound. If you remember eye sensitivity, though we know that eye sensitivity, now actually the retina is on the back of the eye according to the findings that we have today, but within the Theravada teaching it is found in this lens area, the eye sensitivity, which is which seems very strange. So then regarding the ear sensitivity, it is located inside the hole of the ear, the tube of the ear, and on the surface. So it's located in an area in the shape of a ring, and it's of bronze color, because it's our skin is of such color. Maybe it's there may be a mark on it, so that is a sensitive area. I'm not sure how this is being explained in the modern anatomy. Then the sound. Now the next point is its origin. Origin is the karma affected by the craving to hear. If this karma desire is suppressed, the person may not get a Sotappasāda. So this is the normal formula of all the Kammaja Rūpas. The formula is desire affects the karma, and then this karma produces the Kammaja Rūpa. So here in this case, Sotappasāda. Since it's Sotappasāda, desire to hear or to listen. If this desire is suppressed, the person may not get a Sotappasāda. If you remember, when we were talking about Jivitendriya, we had various desires and how it affects the karma, and how the Kammaja Rūpas, what sort of Kammaja Rūpas one possesses in a certain life. It depends on the effects of the craving. I think we did it in a lecture very clearly. Now, in some occasions in the samsara, beings may lose this Sotappasāda in life. If someone has given up the desire for the entire Rūpa and attains arupavachara jhana. So he doesn't have any desire towards any Rūpa, any material thing, not even the sense objects. Therefore, he doesn't possess any of the material in that life. So the person who is born in the Arupa realm do not get any Rūpa, including Sotappasāda. Then the person who suppresses the desire for the consciousness after attaining the Vayo Kasina or Akasa Kasina and practices Chitta Viraga Bhavana, detachment towards the mind. So his detachment towards the mind is suppressed. So therefore he doesn't possess any desire, active desire. It's not eradicated, it's suppressed. Active desire to have any sort of sense experience, even hearing, seeing, smelling, touching and thinking. He is detached from the consciousness. So as a result, he would not get a consciousness in the next life, in the Asanya Sattva realm. He doesn't get a consciousness in the next life. So when there is no consciousness, there is no necessity of Vattu Rūpas, bases, that are very vital for the consciousness. Because we explained this, since consciousness is an immaterial thing, it's quite weak and it needs some sort of a support to rely upon. These are the Rūpa. And these Rūpa are produced by karma. Why is that? Karma is, the main function of a karma is to produce Nama and Rūpa. And it produces Nama, mainly the Vipaka Chitta Chesa from Patisandhi till the Chutti. All the javanas are outcomes of this Vipaka. So therefore now karma has the responsibility, the karma, the production, the main function of the karma is to produce Nama and Rūpa, and out of them Nama is weak. It cannot sustain by itself. Therefore, so it needs the support of a Rūpa. So the responsibility of supporting the Rūpa that supports the consciousness, the responsibility of producing the Rūpa that supports the consciousness is also vested upon the karma. So that's why every Vattu Rūpa is a production of karma. In case, now the doctrine of necessity comes, in case there is no consciousness going to happen, the necessity of Vattu Rūpas is not there. There is no necessity. So as a result, none of the bases, none of the Vattu Rūpas appear in Asanya Sattva. Because now otherwise someone can ask the question, since he has only suppressed the desire for the consciousness, to the consciousness, why is it that he may not possess any consciousness and still he may possess the Vattu Rūpas? Why it is not possible? Because of the necessity. There is a necessity for everything. Everything is every reality. So if there is no consciousness going to happen in that life, there is no need of a Vattu Rūpa. So therefore he doesn't possess any Sotappasāda. Sotappasāda. Then a person who has attained jhana also suppresses the desire to hear sweet sounds, like the desire to smell, taste and touch, and also to see pleasant objects. But these doors, eye and ear, are responsible, also facilitates the wholesome functions. Therefore it is mentioned these pasadas appear in the Brahma realm, though the person has suppressed the desires to the 5 sensual objects. And also they have a desire to communicate with the beings who have attained a similar state. Then in the Kama realm, normally a person may possess Sotappasāda, ear sensitivity, except in special cases in which sometimes the weaker karma giving a patisandhi may produce a life without Sotappasāda, a weaker karma. We call it duhetuka omaka. In the Kama realm, if the powerful karma, strong karma, produces, if someone is born with a strong karma, he gives a life. That life possesses all Kammaja Rūpas, no defects. no defects. A weak karma a life, sometimes very rarely, all kamaja rupas. This is mentioned in the sub-commentary of Vimati Vinodini. Even some ahetuka beings may possess all the kamaja rupas, a perfect body, no defects, no mental defects, but still unglorious, but have a very less capacity in wisdom. Very some type of beings, but mostly they would possess some defects. They would possess some, but it says some beings, that there can be some beings who are without defects with a very low wisdom. I am talking about a omaka kamma, ahetuka life, and most of the cases with lacking some kamaja rupas. Some may have all the kamaja rupas but may lack some mental capacities, like they are unable to talk properly, they are unable to sometimes they try harder to utter a single word and so forth. They are unable to even keep their saliva in their mouth. They have defects. So some may lack their kamaja rupas, or by birth they may not get any eye, ear, or sometimes very rarely the sensitivity of in the nose. Some are lacking, but in the karma realm, no being lacks the sensitivity in tongue, sensitivity on body sensitivity and tongue sensitivity. Every being possesses in the karma realm. Every being possesses in the karma realm. So there are explanations how what sort of beings gets what sort of rupa. I will be discussing them in a different topic, in a different series. So that is the weak karma. If a weak karma produces the life, it doesn't supports sometimes as a suppose all the kamaja rupas, sometimes most of the occasions. So one may lose Sotappasāda in his life due to being born with a weak karma. Another explanation that can be found based on the sutras is that sometimes we may lose our Sotappasādas due to the influence. We may not get a Sotappasāda by birth. I am talking by birth due to the influence of a akusala karma. So influenced by an akusala karma, a strong akusala, one may lose Sotappasāda. For instance, now if someone has made the other people deaf by hurting their ears, surely this is a very bad karma which can lead someone to be deaf by birth. So he can never be born in the human realm. For instance, if he is born in the woeful realm with that particular karma, surely most probably he may not possess this ear sensitivity in his life. Or he will be born in a species of animals who doesn't have ear, right? Whatever. But if he is born in the human realm, there is a very high possibility that he may not possess the ear sensitivity. So in some Mahatheras say, one may lose the kamaja rupas due to two reasons: due to being born with a weak akusala karma, or due to being obstructed by another akusala karma. Due to being born with a weak kusala karma, I beg your pardon, due to being born with a weak kusala karma, or being obstructed by a strong akusala karma. So what does this indicate? The second opinion. It seems like even the person is born with a good strong karma, he may not possess some kamaja rupas due to the influence of akusala karma. So we saw this phenomenon in the Bhava Rūpa. A person to be a male due to being influenced by akusala karmas was born as a female. But in that case, he is not lacking the Bhava Rūpa. He is still having a difference in the Bhava Rūpa. So this statement, even though I say it, this has a huge, obstacle or different opinion, different fundamental that goes against this. That is found in the Vibhanga. In the book of Vibhanga, Abhidhamma, the classifications were given in Dhammahade Vibhanga. How many ayatanas a being would possess depending on his birth. Depending on the birth, what are the number of ayatanas one would possess. Some may possess by birth, all of us will possess maximum 11 ayatana, because Saddha ayatana is not found at the moment of rebirth. Right, at the moment of rebirth. It's like talking about the Kammaja Rupas actually. It's not only the rebirth moment, the Kammaja Ayatanas. One may not possess because Saddha is not never Kammaja. So maximum is 11. Maximum is 11. But some may have 10, even 9, even 8. The ones who do not have Chakku, Sota, Gana, all three. All three, lacking all three sensitivities, may have 9 ayatana. One who lacks 2 have 10 ayatana. I'm sorry. One who lacks 1 has 10. One who lacks 2 has 9. One who lacks 3 has 8. Right? Because Saddha is already missing there. While Saddha is missing. Therefore, but the thing is, the lacking of ayatanas, especially these Kammaja ayatanas, the ones who lack these ayatanas are always categorized as ahetukas. Ahetuka beings, not the sahetukas. And in the Yamaka commentary it says a sahetuka birth, a person who has especially a tihetuka patisandhi or sahetuka patisandhi would never lack any ayatana. Never lack any ayatana. In the Kama realm we are talking, not in the Brahma realm, because Brahma realm is a different realm. It's a different phenomenon going on. Therefore, achakkukanang, the ones who, this comes in the Yamaka while defining who is achakkuka, the ones who do not possess the eye sensitivity by birth. By birth means after few weeks after the birth. So, ones who lacking the eye sensitivity by birth, achakkukas, are always ahetukas. Always, because or either in the Kama realm are always ahetukas, or sometimes they can be in asanya satta or in the arupa, achakkuka. So this fundamental says that every being who is born without the sensitivities by birth are ahetuka beings. But if you go into the sutras, the explanation comes, so one does lots of bad akusala kammas. He will be suffering in the woeful realms. That's what the Buddha said. After a long period, when he is born as a human being, he may lack one eye. He may have certain defects and so forth. Then he may also sometimes possess crippled limbs. And also we can understand, surely he may have lost both the sights by birth. This possibility is there. So what is that? How do we explain this phenomenon? Due to akusala kammas, one goes to the woeful realms. One is born in the good realms due to kusala kammas. Now while he is born with a kusala kamma, he lacks few ayatanas. Is it that his birth, one who has done lots of akusalas and born in the woeful realms, when he comes to the human realm, that his birth has to be given as a ahetuka birth? It seems very strange, because Buddha says a person who has done lots of akusalas as a result may possess defects by birth. So does it mean that when he is coming out of the woeful realms after a long period, that his rebirth in the good realms are given by a weak kusala, duhetuka omaka? Because only duhetuka omaka can give akusala, ahetuka vipaka, right? Only ahetukas lack these ayatanas. So does it mean that the phenomenon is he is lacking such ayatanas because is it the reason that the phenomenon is such a person would get a ahetuka birth for sure? Or for sure means most of the cases. That's the one way to think about it. Is the phenomenon is such? Or is the phenomenon is that he may have done a tihetuka kamma in samsara, but when he comes back, due to the influence of the akusalas that he has done, his kusala becomes weaker. And produces a ahetuka result. This seems very strange, because a kusala becomes weaker in that sense only because of the akusalas that are related to that particular kusala, not because of some other kusala. For instance, if I have done a very good deed of offering flowers to the Buddha, a tihetuka ukkutta kamma, and I have done bad deeds which are not relevant to this karma, or I have killed any animal, Does this killing the akusala could weaken my tihetuka and makes it to give a ahetuka birth? I don't think so. I don't think so. But if that, while I am doing that particular karma of offering the flowers, if I am doing it for the gain, to show off, or I did it without any understanding about the karma, so this entire karma, the act that I have been doing, so sorry for the disturbance, there was a electricity drop, so everything went off. Now we were talking, the entire screen has such shut down. So we were about explaining the karma realm. If I go in a precise, if I explain it much precision, tihetuka ukutta, this is the superior karma. This will give a tihetuka birth. Then tihetuka omaka, a weaker, a three-rooted karma, but weak. Then dvihetuka ukutta, both would produce a dvihetuka birth. Both have full ayatanas. Then a dvihetuka omaka, a very weak karma, produces a ahetuka birth. Very rare, sometimes they may have full, according to the Vimati Vinodini sub-commentary, but sometimes they are lacking. Some lack the ayatanas. Now, what I have been saying was, according to the sutras, Buddha says, someone who has done akusala goes to the woeful realms. After a long time, when he is born in the human realm, due to those akusala karmas, he may lack some ayatanas. Possibility is there. He may lack some defects. If you go precise to the sutta, he says that he is lacking one eye. Kanova kuniva. Right? Lack one eye, crippleness and all. But it seems, hypothetically, if you think, a person who has removed the eyes of other beings and tortured them, like that as what we have seen in histories of the invasions done by certain kings, surely such a person would be born in the woeful realms. By the time he is born in the good realms, there is a very, very high possibility that he may not have the two eyes because of his karma of removing the eyes. It's not necessary to be a one eye that he is not possessing. So I take that sutra just as a simple indicator of the sufferings that one would face in the human realm due to the akusala karmas that he has done in the past. Now think, if he is lacking the ayatanas, for instance, if he is lacking ayatanas due to the akusalas, according to this theory, he has to have a ahetuka birth based on vibhanga. Right? He has to have ahetuka birth because ahetukas would never lack any ayatanas. And it's clearly mentioned in the commentary of Yamaka as well. So if we are going to stick with this fundamental, what happens? It's ahetuka birth. So how could ahetuka birth happens? It has to be a duhetuka omaka karma. So one is born with a weak karma. Now think about a person who has done akusala and gone to the woeful realm, born in the sugati realm due to kusala. So he gets the opportunity, one kusala gets the opportunity to give a rebirth. If he is lacking some ayatanas in the blissful realm, if he is lacking some ayatana in the blissful realm, it means that he has got an ahetuka birth. Ahetuka birth is given by a duhetuka omaka karma. So is it that the Buddha was referring, or is it that when someone has such defects, that duhetuka omaka karma is gaining the opportunity to give a birth? It's not that a Tihetuka karma would not normally get the opportunity to give a birth in the human realm while someone is coming out from the woeful realms having done lots of akusalas in past. Is it the phenomenon? Seems not. Can be. For me it seems like little bit too much. Then another way is this kusala? Now it can be any of the kusalas. Is this kusala is affected by those akusala and it becomes weaker and produce a ahetuka birth? I don't think so. Because a karma is classified as weaker or stronger not because of any other karma that is not relevant to it. Think about someone offering a dana. So during this dana he has lots of kusala chittas, but also sometimes one may get akusala chittas because he is doing for gain, fame and all these. These akusala bad intentions weakens this kusala and makes it duhetuka omaka. There are various ways that it can be explained how duhetuka omaka, and if the person doesn't have any understanding about the karma thing, if it is so. So all the acts, this is called ekatta, the oneness of a certain karma. So the karmas, the chittas related to that particular karma, particular act makes it stronger or weaker. It's not that someone has done a very strong kusala and some other akusala, I have given a great dana, I also have killed some animal. This is not going to affect my dana and weakens it to a omaka level. It can be weakened because of my lack of my sila. That is a different case. Due to my lacking of sila. Because a person who has done lots of akusalas in a life, born in the woeful realm, would be born in the sugati realm not because of a kusala, mostly not because of a kusala that he has done in that particular, because of a kusala that he has done in sansara. Right? So think about a past kusala coming and giving a rebirth. Are these akusalas going to affect them? If so, we'll be in a big problem, because we have done lots of akusalas in sansara. All our kusalas can be affected by those akusalas, and very rare we'll have a very less opportunity of getting a strong rebirth due to being influenced by past akusalas. So it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely. But we have to keep in mind also, it was explained, a person who was about to be born as a male due to influence by some other akusalas can be born as a female, if you remember in the Bhava Rūpa case. But still is not lacking, there is a difference. So this shows that Patisandhi kusala is affected by a certain akusala. But does it make the Patisandhi kusala to give a ahetuka birth? These are the things that I'm not giving a decisive answer on this. I'm making the audience to think in a broader aspect. Now two options. One is that is a phenomenon that he gets duhetuka omaka kamma comes forth and gives a weaker birth, or a kusala, while kusala is coming, some other akusalas weakens it, especially the akusalas of removing the eyes and all, weakens it and makes it to be a ahetuka birth. The third opinion is it is giving a sahetuka birth because it's a particular karma, but due to the influence of other akusalas of removing the eyes, that karma is unable to produce Cakkupasāda. It produces its capacity of producing a rebirth, a sahetuka rebirth is there. So is he lacking the Cakkupasāda just because obstructed by a akusala karma? So in that case, I'm saying a very, very controversial statement. Can a sahetuka being by birth lack pasadas? If so, these statements are challenged. Then the fourth option is, because we are talking about the human realm, the person gets a full rebirth, sahetuka birth, and he gets all the full ayatanas while in the mother's womb as an obstructing karma, obstructing or destructive karma. One karma, because there are two opinions about the destructive karma. Destructive karma is killing the person. Some says killing a certain kamaja generation is also destructive. So that's why I use the both terms. Either it's obstructive or destructive, whatever. Akusala karma comes forth
and destroys this eye. So then it's not a problem of the birth. It's something that happens during the course, like what happens to Chakkupala. So we see the person is blind by birth, but something has happened while he is in the womb. It can happen not because of karma, even because of the negligence of the mother even. Or be cruelty of someone who hits the mother's womb, and it can get damaged. Things can happen. So these are the 4 opinions, right? So now that's why one renowned Mahathera from Sri Lanka in Abhidhamma has mentioned, one may lack the Kammaja Rupas due to being born out of a weak kusala or due to the obstruction of the akusala. He doesn't mention when this obstruction comes. It seems like, his statement seems like the obstruction has happened by birth. But then, if it is so, is it possible that a person who is born with a Tihetuka Kamma or Tihetuka Patisandhi still loses eye? Practically, we have seen blind people, deaf people with high intelligence. We know there's a professor blind by birth who is a Buddhist professor blind by birth. I have met him personally. He's a very, very smart person. He's a very smart guy, very intelligent. And we know that there are blind professors and those who are very intellectually very high, who could surely understand Buddhism. No doubt about that. So is it that their eyes were blind while they were in the womb? Or surely they are not, I would not classify them as ahetuka. I cannot do that personally with experiences we have. Or is it that they were born as Tihetukas and their eyes were obstructed by a past akusala? In the Buddhist perspective I'm talking about, right? So that's why we say in the karma realm, so it's open to debate. It's open to debate. I'm not giving a decisive answer because the thing is, can't it be that the Vibhanga doesn't say that one with a Tihetuka Patisandhi cannot lack any ayatana. It classifies ones who possess all the ayatanas are Tihetukas, ones who are lacking ayatanas are ahetukas. Is it the reason that it didn't show the Tihetukas or Duhetukas who are lacking certain ayatanas? But the commentary is very firm in the Yamaka. It says there is no Sahetuka being in the karma realm who lacks any ayatana. Right? Only way. So then, so the Sotappasāda, I'll move on to the Sotappasāda lecture. Sotappasāda, one may lose, may not get a Sotappasāda, born in the Arupa realm, while born in the Asanya realm, and in the Kama realm, due to being born with a weak Kusala Kamma, or as some scholars say, due to the influence of some Akusala Kamma. In the woeful realms, surely one may possess, one may not possess Sotappasāda due to the Akusala Kamma that he is born with or due to the influence of another Akusala, right? So these are the places where one may lack the Sotappasāda. And Sotappasāda is a production of karma and it facilitates us hearing. It is satisfying the craving. It's like satisfying the craving to hear. And it is found in both the ears, and the generations are produced by the same karma in one person. And the kalapa in which the Sotappasāda is found is called Sota Dasaka Kalapa. Then we finally come into the mechanism of hearing sound. I think I have mentioned this once, so we'll go into that detail. According to ancient commentaries, Purana Attakatha, ancient commentaries, then the Pali commentaries, Pali Attakatha, then the Paramatta Dipani. Have 3 opinions on this. Right? According to Pali Attakatha, for example, if this is the ear, for instance, and this is the source of sound, this is the sort of source of sound. So with this sort of sound, according to the Pali commentaries, sound travels in generations. Sound kalapas travel in generations through the air, through the space. And it strikes at the ear door and the person hears it. It's a striking. So according to the Pali commentaries, ancient Pali commentaries, I am not able to give you the handout. I'm trying to give it all together. at one point. Sorry for that, I couldn't give it for a few weeks now. This is found, if for your further reference, this is found in Dhammasangani commentary. Dhammasangani commentary, if I give you the page number, yeah, I'll give you it in a moment. I'm sorry, the footnotes are not found here. Sorry. It's found in the Dhammasangani commentary. It's found in the Dhammasangani commentary in the Rūpa section, actually. Rūpa section. It says that the sound comes and strikes at the eardo. So this is the Sotappasāda is Sampatta Gocharagahi. Sampatta Gocharagahi. It takes an object that has already come to the ear. This is the ancient. The argument they are bringing is, if we see someone cutting a tree far away, we see his Rūpa earlier, but we hear the sound after some time. That is, the reason is the sound takes much longer period to come and strike at our eye. Right? That's the explanation. The Pali commentators do not agree on this. So this is the ear. This is the source of the sound. According to them, the sound does not travel. According to Pali ancient commentaries, sound does travel. Here the sound doesn't travel. This is the sound. The sound is heard from its own location. It creates a certain image on the ear sensitivity. That's why it's heard. So this is Asampatta Gocharagahi. It takes a object, it is sensitive to the object that has not reached it physically, which is physically in a distance, but still causes a certain image to appear on the ear. The reason whenever Buddha goes rejecting this idea, he strongly rejects this, refutes this, the ancient commentaries, saying that though it is said in the ancient commentary, the sound travels and strikes at the ear, if so, the person would not be able to determine the direction of the sound. According to him, when a sound is heard, we are able to fully determine very easily where it is coming from. But a smell, when a smell comes, we don't know where it is coming from. We have to search for it because the smell comes into our ear, nose and strikes at the sensitivity. So his argument is, if the sound comes and strikes at the ear, we will not be able to distinguish, because there are some archers who are able to shoot based on the sound. So they know where the sound is coming from. If the sound would travel and strikes at the ear, this is not possible. Since the sound is located in its own place where it arose and passes away, instantly on that moment, the ear is sensitive to this. Then how does the ancient commentary suggest about the direction? They say it's just a natural law. Natural law that when the sound strikes at the ear, as a natural law phenomenon, we'll be able to distinguish where it's coming from. Right? It's an unexplainable natural law. Scientifically, we know normally the direction of the sound is determined because we are hearing the sound from both the ears. If one ear is blocked or closed, we will not be able to have a very clear understanding where it is coming from. If you previously know where the sound is coming from, surely your attention will go there. But if one of the ears are closed, that's how I haven't tried this actually. If one of the ears are closed, it's very difficult for the person to determine the direction. I think you know that if one eye is closed, it's very difficult to determine the distance even, right? It's difficult to, the test is that you close one eye and you make this kind of finger in this shape and you just change the distance, and it's difficult to, with a closed eye, it's difficult to put it into this hole instantly, right? You have done this because we do have a three-dimensional view. Both eyes are necessary to get this idea. So likewise, the scientists say it's both ears are necessary to determine the direction where it is coming from, direction or the distance maybe to imagine, to assume from where it is coming from. Anyway, so his argument, Venerable Buddhaghosa's argument is, since we can determine the direction, sound doesn't come and strike at the ear. But the ancient commentators are of the different opinion. Paramatthadipani gives a different opinion. The sound, the source of sound, the sound does travel. Sound does travel through the air, through the space. But now this is the ear. Everyone's ear has a range. Savana, upachara, a range. It may differ based on the ability of the ear and also the maybe the loudness of the sound. It's nothing much was given, information was given. So when the sound is traveling, whenever it enters the range, it causes an image to appear on the ear, and the person starts to hear it. The example he is given is, think about a pagoda, a very strong pagoda or a mountain. Someone is playing a drum here. We are here. The person is here. Now, from where does he hear the sound coming from? The sound travels, and the pagoda obstructs it, and the sound travels from the sideways. The person hears that the sound is coming from sideways. Why is that? According to him, when there is obstructions in between, the range of the ear is obstructed. So when the sound is traveling from sides, when it enters his hearing range, it will be heard. So since it is not touching the ear, the person is able to determine the direction. The Vedic Sayadaw is of the opinion, if it strikes at the ear, you will not be able to determine the direction. So he is partially taking the idea from the Pali commentaries. But the thing is, the Venerable Buddhaghosa has a very big problem in explaining why it takes a long time. If it is heard from the place where it origins, why does it take long time for the sound to be heard? According to him, it's a mental illusion, sort of an illusion. Though it strikes, someone is cutting a tree in a far distance. We see the color, and the sound and the color are striking at the eye and ear at the same time. And the vitis go, the chakku viti is going in the beginning, but later on, and this sound, maybe that sound, a huge amount of sounds are arising, right? So we hear it immediately, but we get an idea that we heard it late. It's I don't think it's I don't know whether it's very, I'm not convinced in that sense to be true. So it's sort of a mental aspect that makes the person to feel that he heard it late. It's not that the person, it's not that it really struck later. According to the Pali commentary, ancient commentary, it struck later. Paramatthadipani also says it takes time for the sound to come to the range, but still it causes the image to happen, so the person is able to determine the direction. But this also has a huge problem, because it's now, for instance, if this is the source, sound is traveling to every direction, because every sound can cause this image to happen. It's not that the sound that has come into the ear, according to this theory, since it's spreading, even the sound which has entered the range from this direction can bring. One may say this is the shortest. Yes, okay, we can agree on this. But still the sound is traveling. So even at this point, sound can still cause an image. Why it cannot cause an image? So therefore, According to that theory, even while the sound is behind the ear, we should be able to hear it. As long as the sound is traveling within our ear's range, we'll be able to hear it. It makes sense to some extent, because even though the sound was heard very far away, if it is very far away, we may feel it like we are hearing it in a certain distance, but we will not be able to determine how far it is. It's not possible, right? Not possible. So these things do make sense in one way or another, but they all have difficulties in explaining. Difficulty to explain explanation in the ancient commentary is how do you determine the direction. The Pali commentators, why it is too late. There's no specific, I don't think the explanation is very convincing. Then according to this theory, why the sound cannot be heard from various directions as long as it is in the range of hearing, because it may stay for a few seconds in that range. Though it's traveling, if it is just causing some image to appear in the ear, it could happen, because we can still hear a sound coming from the back, right? It's not necessary that the sound has to be heard from the front. Maybe someone can argue it's traveling this direction, so it may not cause any sound from the back. We can bring some arguments. Scientifically, we know now, according to modern findings, the ancient commentaries seems closer to that interpretation, because sound is a wave. It travels to all the directions. These waves can come and strike at the ear, then we hear it. So the simile given by the commentators is that in a room made out of rock, in a cave, because it's a very thick surface and very hard, someone is reciting on the top, but the ones who are inside the cave hear the sound coming from this direction, not from up, right? Not from up. So this explanation, the Pali commentators have a big problem in explaining this. According to them, the sound is still found here. It is causing the image on the person's ear while it is here, but it makes, since the gap is this, since the route is from this direction, the person hears through the space, through the direction of the space. I don't know how do we convince this. So the person hears as it is coming from this direction, but it is causing the image from this direction. So according to Pali, ancient commentator, it is spreading all over. So then it comes and strikes at the ear. So person here, it's coming from this direction. If Lady Sayadaw's explanation, it's spreading when it comes to the range of the listening, it is heard. Right? So these are the three different opinions about how the hearing happens. And there's finally one of the causes for the hearing is the space. Space means I don't think they are talking about an fully empty space. One explanation why there should be space is that your ear should not be filled with wax completely, then you will not be hearing, or if you not with a plug. Another explanation is between the source of the sound and the person, there should be some space. There should be a gap. And we know it's filled with air. If it is completely empty, sound is not traveling. We know that. But this is a modern finding. That's not the way they. I think that's not something that commentators paid attention at, right? Because it was found that sound is not traveling through an empty, something is full empty with or whatever material like solid, liquid or air. If there is no such thing, sound is not traveling. So anyway, so these are the explanations. I'll be talking about this again when we come to the lecture about sound under Utuja Rupas. I'll be giving all the references and explanations. Again, a comparison will be done with much clarity, with much more information, how this has been explained according to the commentators, how the sound is traveling, what is the phenomenon on this, we have to explain it, because how the new sound rupas are caused. Is it that the sound is causing another sound, or is it because of a clash between the air elements? That is something we need to clarify here. And also much arguments brought by both the commentators will be discussed in the lecture about sound, right? So these are the points that I would like to discuss today. Sotappasāda, sensitivity of ear, the element that is sensitive to the sound. It is produced by karma, affected by craving to hear, and in some occasions beings lack ear sensitivity in samsara. And we also discuss about how someone may lack some sensitivities or some organs in the karma realm. What are the possible explanations? And then the mechanism of hearing the sound. Yeah. So I conclude the lecture. This shows that we are hearing because of a certain element produced by karma, affected by craving. So who is responsible for this hearing? It's ourselves. Ourselves means our nama rupa in the past lives, because the craving was not suppressed. We got our karma produced this life, and we possess the ear, and we are hearing the sounds accordingly. All right. So it shows the cause and effect phenomenon very clearly. So I'll conclude the lecture, giving you the opportunity to ask questions.
So, good morning, everyone. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can put your question in the chat box. I can help you with that. So Bante, for the Asambata Gojara, I think the reference is in the Attasalini, page 351.
Dhammasangani commentary, Attakata,
Yeah.
351. Okay, this is the page. 351. Thank you very much.
So, Bante, I have a question about the defects, the vikara.
Okay, right.
So, a while ago, I read an article about a boy. He had a condition that he could not feel, which means, in terms of Buddhism, that we can say that he doesn't have a kaya pasāda.
Okay.
But then so, in the Buddhist literatures, I have never seen anywhere saying that a person lacks kaya pasāda. So how are we going to explain this phenomenon?
So does it say that the boy had no kaya pasāda at all?
No, of course, in the medical term, that they don't say kaya pasāda, but he has a kind of disease that he doesn't feel anything. So the story is that a mother discovered that he couldn't feel pain. He couldn't feel, if something cut him, he doesn't feel it. If he got burned, he doesn't feel it. So that's a very strange condition to him.
So entire body, you mean, right?
Yes, entire body.
Even inside?
I don't know about inside, but that's the description of the problem and the disease that they said in the article.
Yeah. So it's according to the textbooks that we have read, it says that there is no being in the karma realm who lacks kaya and juha. There are beings who are born without a tongue. There are beings, actually we have few case studies in the history that some humans were without a tongue. Then some case studies were done. They were given to taste some wine, 6 different types of wines, and they were able to taste it, feel the taste. And the scientific explanation is some taste buds are also found not only in the tongue, on the tongue, but in the mouth, some areas of the mouth as well. So they were able to feel the taste even though they didn't possess a tongue. So the commentators are clearly of the opinion that no one in the karma realm would lack the tongue sensitivity. Then the body sensitivity seems like it's a must. That's how it is explained. Maybe it can be a reason like when we are numb, we don't sometimes feel the touch and everything. Like when we are getting anesthesia, local anesthesia, we are not feeling anything. If we are about to look it from the Buddhist perspective, the child still possesses the kaya pasada due to another karma or some other reason. His body, the kaya pasada is not active, is not working like in a local anesthesia occasion. So that is the only possible way we can look into that from Buddhist Theravada perspective, I feel. Because it's a very strong fundamental that every being in the karma realm should possess kaya pasada.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Bhante. And then Bhante, another question is because you mentioned the Saccakukka, Asotaka, and Saccakukka, Sasotaka.
Yeah.
So in the Yamaka Takatha, right, the commentator explicitly said that for the Saccakukka, Asotaka, only the Obapadika person are mentioned.
Saccakukka, right? Asotaka, right?
Saccakukka, Asotaka. And then for the Saccakukka, Sasotaka, he also mentioned the Obapadika. So my question is, what about the Sansedaja person, Bhante?
Saccakukka. You mean he possessed the eye, but not the ear, right?
Yes. And then also a person possesses the eye and the ear at the Patisandhi moment. He only mentioned the Obapadika person. Yeah, I mean, so let's see, is the reference I can...
Yeah, please.
Yes. It's on page...
Commentary, right?
Yeah, page 308, Bhante.
Yamaka commentary.
Yes.
308.
308.
Which Yamaka, Dr. Ryan?
Yes, this is the Ayatana Yamaka.
308. 308. Okay. Saccakkukanang asotakananti. Idan nayamukang. Apaye jati badira opapatikan sandhaya vuttang. Sohit saccakkuko asotako hutva uppajjati. Yataha kamadatya uppattikkene kassaci aparanipi dasayatane patuvanti. Oppatikanang petanang, oppatikanang asuranang, oppatikanang tiracchana gatanang, oppatikanang nerayikanang, jacca badiranang uppattikkene dasayatanani patubhavanti. Chakkayatanang Rūpa gandha. Yes, saccakkukanang sattanang sugiri upatike. So technically Sansedaja should be here to the basic knowledge that we have in and this
I mean, according to Ayaka, then yes, Sansedaja there, but I mean, according to this Atthakatha, it doesn't mention Sansedaja here, so that which is very strange.
Even the Tika doesn't say, right?
Right, yeah, the Tika doesn't say anything.
Yeah. So Dr. Ryan, I think we have to look into this. Idan Nayamukang. Nayamukang means it's just, it's not the complete explanation. Atta viniche panetta idang Nayamukang, it says. So I think this is not the Nayamukha, it's just an entrance. It's not the entire complete explanation. And that's why I think Aikau is giving a full explanation on this. This is what I feel when I read the first sentence. Because when I read the first sentence, the first impression that came to my mind was this is not a exhaustive explanation.
I see.
But I'll refer to my friends and also let you know next week. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Yes,
so hello everyone, if you have any questions, please raise your hand or you can put your question in the chat box. Yes, please go ahead. Kamal Jayokodi.
Jayokodi, yes.
May I ask my question, Your Reverence?
Yes, sure.
Divine ear, Dibbasota, is one of the supernormal powers of direct knowledge, Abhinya. My question is whether that knowledge is also coming through ear sensitivity.
Yeah, it's in the big, according to the Theravada meditation explanations found in Visuddhimagga, anyone who practices the divine ear in the preliminary stages of gaining this access to the divine ear ability, one has to have the physical ear. For example, first he has to possess all the jhanas and mastery over this, except the ones who have practiced it in the very recent lives, who can come into the abhinyas with only with the fourth jhana, as explained in the Visuddhimagga. But all the others, all the normal ordinary beings, have to practice all 8 jhanas and gain the mastery over it. Then, having gained the mastery, he has to listen to the sounds with a concentrated mind, the sounds through ear, and due to his strong concentration, he'll be able to focus on very subtle sounds. He'll be able to focus. Now, even the steps of someone walking quite far away, these are heard to the ear, as it says. Then he'll be hearing all the subtle sounds sensitive to his ear, his or her ear. Then he has to develop this he's developing first. Then if my memory was correct, if I'm wrong, please correct someone. He has to spread the light, kasina light, if my memory was correct, or determine an area. And then when he was listening through the ear for the first time, at a certain stage he comes beyond the range of the ear. So that is the moment he gains the access to the divine ear. So he'll be able to hear the sounds which are not sensitive to the ear. Then he'll be able to he has to develop this skill by listening to far away sounds and so forth. After he has gained the mastery, he can directly access to sounds without the help of the ear. So therefore, in the beginning, if someone doesn't possess the divine ear, he cannot, if he doesn't possess the material physical ear, physical ear that we have, one cannot attain the divine ear. The same way, if someone doesn't have the physical eye, he cannot have divine eye. This fundamental is found in the text itself. It's not a commentarial explanation. It says, Sotang Dibba Sotassa Pachayo something. It says that the physical ear is a cause for the divine ear. I forgot the reference to be true, but it is not a commentarial explanation. It's found in one of the books, I think in the Kuddaka Nikaya maybe, Itivuttaka, right? What is the statement? Yeah, Chakku Sutta of Itivuttaka. We can go to the reference because there's a Bhante who has memorized this, the Itivuttaka, Venerable Sumana. So, Chakku Sutta. Which Vagga also? Third Vagga. Okay, he has a good memory. Third Nipata, third Vagga. Okay. Second Vagga, right? Chakku Sutta, second Sutta. Oh, very good. So, Mansa Chakkussa Upado Maggo Dibbassa Chakku no. So, Mansa Chakkussa Upado, this physical flesh eye, the arising of the flesh eye, is the path for the divine eye. So without it, this is the fundamental based on which the commentators have mentioned, you have to have the divine eye, physical eye, in order to get the divine eye. But thing to mention, after you have gained the divine eye and gained the mastery, if you lose the physical eye, this is not going to affect the person's divine eye. After gaining the mastery, if someone loses the eye, it's not an issue. But before gaining the divine eye, if someone loses the physical eye, he is not able to gain this ability. The same way, Sota, it's not mentioned here, the fundamental comes, Mansa Sotassa Uppado Maggo Dibbassa Sotassa, whatever. So the ear is also a fundamental for the necessity for the Dibba Sota. It's not found here. I think maybe it's found somewhere else. Maybe this is the reference that I was remembering. I'm not sure about that. So maybe as with an analogy of the divine eye, they have made it is necessary for the divine ear as well, or maybe it's also found somewhere. Somehow, physical eye is necessary for the divine eye in the beginning. But after gaining, if he loses, it's not going to affect. Chakku Sutta of Itivuttaka, you can refer to this. Chakku Sutta Itivuttaka. Third Nipata. Second Vagga. Number 2 Sutta. Thank you also. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. So, is there any other questions? Please, if you have any questions, please raise your hand, or you can put the question in the chat box.
Okay. Seems no question. Seems no question.
Yeah. No more questions.
Okay. So okay, then we'll conclude. Thank you for listening. Tomorrow we'll be discussing both Ghana and Jivha together. Kaya, I will be taking a separate lecture because there are few points to be discussed on it. Ghana and Jivha are quite similar, so we'll try to finish it tomorrow. Thank you for listening. May this merit helps us to attain the ultimate bliss, Nibbana, and may the Buddha Sasana sustain by the help of this merit. Buddha Sasanang Chirantithatu, Buddha Sasanang Chirantithatu, Buddha Sasanang Chirantithatu, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu.